Hello again, and if you are following this series, this is the weekend I have got in order to address all the questions about Mandela Washington Fellowship. I'm going to be addressing the critical aspect of it, storytelling, because this is the area where most of us where we struggle. Storytelling is not our forte, and I can tell you when I was doing my application, it looks stupid to me because I'm not used to it. It's not something that I'm used to. Why will I be telling, okay, when you have conflict with your friends, with your co-worker, okay, tell me a time when you have conflict and you are able to resolve it amicably. Oh God. Where am I going to start? That we fought, or we abused each other, or we started quarreling, or what exactly are you expecting from me? It was really like, oh God, what am I going to write here? But the truth is, you have to learn to be able to tell these stories. Those are the things that they want to hear, because they are evidences that you actually did this work. They are evidences that you are a leader, that you know how to manage human being, you know how to manage your resources, you know how to manage conflicts, you know how to manage business, you know how to lead people. So storytelling is important. So let me guide you on how to do this storytelling, because this is exactly what you need for your application, isn't it? If they ask you, tell us about your leadership experience, what are you going to be talking? Are you going to be talking about a leader is a person who did this, who did no? That's not what they are expecting. They are expecting you to tell them stories about how you are a leader. Okay, let me give you an example. When I was serving during my NYSC posting, I was posted to a local hospital. Not really local, it's a government hospital at state level, Adeoyo. And I was posted to PEPFAR clinic. That's HIV clinic, where I was the only doctor, NYSC copper. I was the only doctor seeing the ailments, seeing HIV patients with minor ailments, even major ailments. I have to see them first, isn't it? In order to now refer them to where they are going to be able to get bigger or better care, because we don't have that at the clinic. So I was the only doctor there. So I had to take initiative. I had to manage, work with nurses, work with health assistants, work with record officers. When there's also a part of record keeping. If they don't do the dates and the time and the filling of form properly, it will not be accepted by the APIN organization that is managing the clinic. So I had to make sure that I guide them, ensure that the records of the patients, that they are correct. And that means you have to be communicating with the record officers, you have to be communicating with the pharmacists, you have to communicate with the nurses. If you want to do referral, I have to work with the nurses to know which form am I filling for the patients, where am I referring them to, because I was new. I had to learn, and I had to humble myself and work with them, even though they're not paying me there. It's NYSC that is paying me. It's corporate and state government. So, but I put in my best, and that was where I got the innovation. That was where I got the idea of starting my own NGO. That was where it came from. When I saw pregnant women with HIV dying like chicken, wasting babies, I saw a lot. And I wasn't comfortable with them because I was also a mother at that time. I just had my baby. Look at the story. Are you not convinced? Yes, you have to be able to tell this story. How did you start? How did you find yourself in a leadership position? How many people have you been able to impact? Let me tell you that since I started African Development and Empowerment Foundation, I go to primary health care center from one place to another to provide them with medical checkups, investigations, ultrasound scan. Yes, I carried my backpack, carry ultrasound scan to these clinics in order to provide them with ultrasound scan. Have you been to any health center with ultrasound scan? Tell me. Yes, those are the areas where I worked. I have to humble myself. Doctor, they can back me at the back. They can drag me to the, come and help us to check. Come and help us to check. We have a patient in labor. We have a patient in labor. I did all that. I humbled myself. I work with the local community. So how did you find yourself in a leadership position? And how many people have you impacted? How has your product or your work influence other people in your community. Let's say you are working with government. I'm going to be giving different examples because we have lots of people doing this application. Some are going into management, some are going into business, some are going into political aspect of it, and we have diverse of people. So let's say you are working with the government and you have your directors and all that, and they are having a meeting and you were able to make suggestions. Oh, this plan that we are making, I think I have an experience in this regard where a person, somebody in my community is struggling with this, or we have a bridge that is, rusting or something that is going to break soon. I think if we can do that for the community, it's good. If that idea is from you, that was how you were able to influence the life of the people of your community, by giving your suggestions to government officials and making your request known where it matters. You are working in political capacity, aren't you? Working in government, being able to influence policies, being able to influence laws, being able to influence implemented projects. So how is it related to you? You have to be able to tell the story. If you are a business person, or let's say you are into tech, you build an application that is helping so number of people in order to access this, to access that, probably to be able to make payment, bank transfer, or to be able to sign up for something online, easy accessibility, or, from their home, comfort of their home, no stress. Just put it together how you are able to influence and make lives of people better. How you are able to make people's life better. It's still storytelling, isn't it? Now, when you are saying this story, when you are telling these stories, it is good if you can, back it up with data. Like this also number, like I just asked you, how many centers do you know that have ultrasound scan? Yes. So there are data that primary healthcare centers in Africa or in Nigeria specifically, which I know, they don't have access to medical laboratory investigations, and they don't have access to ultrasound scan. They send them how to go and do all these things and bring the results. So I was bridging that gap by taking it down there to them. Yes, I sacrificed my time. I also have a laboratory scientist friend that we used to go around together that time. So how are you impacting the life of others? How are you making people's lives better? It doesn't have to be physical. It can be, technological wise. It might be political wise, policy making and all that. Just tell your story. Now, after we've talked about, let me address the conflicts part. How are you able to manage conflict, maybe in your organization or as a leader working with people? I think there was one example that I gave when we were preparing for International Conference for Family Planning event in Ibadan then. So we've drafted all the letters, we've gone to the secretariat, we've informed the important people that we want to be present for the event. And there was one person that is supposed to deliver another letter somewhere. And she was dragging, and I was furious. Like, we should have actually passed this stage of getting letters across. By now, we should be confirming their presence, isn't it? That they are coming for the event or not. Because we've already invited so many traditional birth attendants, community birth attendants, in order to tell them about family planning. So we've invited these people, and we are hoping that people from the secretariat, will also come in order to let it be known that government has the provision, and if any of them, they have patients in their corners, in their homes, they can refer to government hospitals in order for those women that are delivering in the houses to be able to access family planning. So we need people from the secretariat. So we should be able to, we should have distributed the letter and be confirming if they are coming, So the lady was delaying and delaying. I called her. As a leader, you don't just want to snatch responsibility from somebody, isn't it? You want to delegate responsibility so that you can focus your energy on the most important aspect of the job. Okay, so eventually I had to call her and arrange a meeting. How can I help you? Is there a problem? Is there an issue? Is it transport fare? Is it time? Let us understand what exactly is delaying your journey to the secretariat, because other people, they've delivered their own letters. So she was able to communicate with me that she was sick. So if we were just angry at her and we were just calling her, go and deliver the letter, go and deliver the letter, we will not know. So we don't judge people from afar. As a leader, you have to have the patience to be able to discuss and come down to their level so that they can open up to you. So the conflict part, instead of enabling conflict, I was able to change the situation, understand her standpoint, understand what she's going through, and I was able to tell her who she can give the letter to, who can come to her house to pick up the letter and help her to deliver it. Eventually, somebody else had to do it, but we wouldn't know that she was struggling if we don't calm down and relax and be able to communicate with her. That was how we managed the situation. So that's the story they want to hear. They want to hear how you were able to, de-escalate issues. They want to know how you were able to manage people to avoid conflict. It's storytelling, isn't it? So you have to learn to be able to break down these things. I don't know if there's any other question that you would like me to actually address to break down in a simple way so that you'll be able to submit a fantastic application, convincing application. When you are writing your stories, you have to be confident, because sometimes you doubt that, oh, is this story hot enough? Is this story strong enough? Is this story convincing? Be confident. Yes, it's about writing, really. It's not really about what type of conflict you are talking about. It's about if you know how to write, you know how to write the story then. However, we were able to do this, I was able to do that, meanwhile, she was having issues with that, and we were able to help in order to sort out the situation. So it's about how you are able to coin your word and write it that will make it convincing, even though you have a real genuine story that you are trying to pass across. If you don't put it together well, if you don't write it properly, if you don't put the key words, they might not be as strong as you want it to be. In the story, you had a character and some other people. It might be the government officials, it might be your co-workers, it might be your colleagues. You are the main character that you are focusing on. So you have to be able to say things that you were able to do in order to de-escalate the situation, to make things better for you, for your colleagues, for people involved, and even the recipients of the work or the job that you are trying to do. So when you are talking about it, talk about the tension. Let it be obvious that there was tension. Paint that picture very well. Let us feel it that yes, the person did you bad. Yes, the person was wrong. The person was, and you yourself, you were not happy. You were furious. Paint it well. It's story. It has to be convincing. Also, you can also add how it impacted your work. Because if she didn't deliver the letter, those people that we are expecting will not be able to come. So it will affect the quality of the event or the programs that we are trying to put together. So let us feel the impact of that action on the expected goal, so that we can say that, yeah, the way it is. It's storytelling, so it has to be convincing. Another possible thing is, if you don't manage the situation well, how is it going to affect your relationships? You will not be able to work with the person anymore, isn't it? Or you might not even like working with the person anymore. So you have to tell us how it can affect your relationship with the person or affect the job that you are trying to do. So bring the emotion to life. When you are trying to work towards the word count, write all the story first. You will always find a place where you can cut, places where you can reduce word count and all that. Write out the whole story first. Don't be afraid of word count, because you have to put out your thoughts, then edit them, reduce the number of words, look at the relevances that you already added, then remove those irrelevances, leave the main thing, and you'll be able to, meet up with the word count. So put out your thoughts first, bring out everything on your mind. You'll be able to meet up with the word count. Do not worry about that. So don't forget, when you are telling stories, there is always the beginning, the middle, and the end. So don't leave out any part. You have to be able to conclude. When you have told us what happened, you have told us how it affected your work and how it can affect people. You have told us what you did about it, how you were able to manage the situation. So at the end, something like a summary. So working with people sometimes can be difficult, but as a leader, I had to learn to humble myself, understand the scenario, and then work towards the goal. Prioritizing the goal sometimes helps in order to avoid conflict with other people. If we are not prioritizing the goals, we will be fighting each other. But knowing that we are all working towards the same goal allowed me to humble myself, communicate, let my thoughts be known, and find solution to the existing problem. So you have to be able to summarize something like summary of exactly what you are painting from the beginning to the end. So that will make it concise and professional. That's the word, professional. So you become a professional storyteller. I'm sure you're going to do well. I'm sure you're going to be good. I'm sure there's nothing to worry about. But that's how to start. Don't be afraid. Tackle those questions one by one. Tell your stories. Tell the impact. And if you can, use some statistics. Like, okay, currently, according to World Health Organization, 3 or 5 children die from something, depending on which area you are talking about. If it's politics, there are so many data to back up your work in that regard. If it's technology, the data is there. So when you are telling stories, try and put evidences, known evidences, accepted evidences, in order to make it sophisticated and professional and acceptable level of writing. So don't forget that even though we are trying to tell our personal stories, they have to still be evident that the work that we are doing is needed, is relevant, and is impactful. And I hope you make it. You're going to be able to produce impactful, awesome application, and you'll be selected. Do not worry about it. So I'm going to see you in the next video, where I'm going to be talking about, is it worth it? Yeah. Mandela Washington Fellowship. Mandela Washington Fellowship. Is it worth your time? Is it worth your job? Is it worth your salary? Because you are going to be, sacrificing for this. If you are somebody that you are not working with the government, if you are working with a private organization, you might even lose your job. So is it worth it? Let's discuss that in the next video. See you. Bye. All the best.